Welcome everyone to Spoiler Warning featuring myself, Tom Colohue. We are live talking wrestling news and we'll be here for the duration. And by the way, the duration is a long time in the world of wrestling. We have plenty of headlines to run through today, so let me take them from the top. We're going to be talking as our main story, what did Vince McMahon have as involvement when it comes to the creative side of WrestleMania 40? Because you'd assume it would be nothing, but you'd be wrong on that one, unfortunately. We're going to discuss what he wrote for the Bloodline, what he had as his involvement in WrestleMania 39, how much of the WrestleMania 40 main event Vince McMahon actually himself planned, as well as other things in which involved him. For example, communicating with The Rock about his role. We're going to talk the report on Vince McMahon looking for a pardon from Trump. There's more on that one. We're going to discuss the possibility of a new Vince McMahon Wrestling Federation and a new Freddie Prinze Jr. Wrestling Federation. There's a new Prince and a new Vince wrestling to talk about. We're going to talk about Shane McMahon and Stephanie McMahon, their returns to wrestling. We're going to talk about the WWE's international plans and why they're so successful with it. Naturally, we're going to talk about the UK WrestleMania discussions that Cody Rhodes raised on Good Morning Britain today. We're going to have an update on Matt Hardy. We're going to discuss Dave Meltzer versus NXT. We're going to discuss the AEW Warner Brothers Discovery negotiations, which are not going fantastic. We're going to talk Jack Perry. We're going to talk Chad Gable's new faction, Sheamus and his plans going forwards, as well as the return of Gunther, and what's next for Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair. Guys, lots of wrestling to cover today. We're going to launch into the main story in about 3 minutes. That way, if you're watching on catch-up, you can zip forward to 5 minutes past and we'll be straight in with the news. There is a lot to discuss when it comes to it, and I want to make a point of saying hi to everyone who's already in the chat, making sure that there is plenty of chat rate going live here. Thank you, all of you, for letting me know that you are here and you are enjoying. It really does help boost all of those good old-fashioned channel algorithm businesses that really help this channel succeed. So thank you to all of you for being here and enjoying. We will naturally be discussing where we are in the wrestling stratosphere, and when it comes to your questions, we will be wide open. I could not be more wide open. A gaping more, you might suggest, to take your questions and take them as far as you can possibly get them. I will not have too much time to answer questions before we jump in for the news, but I can see that Steve's got one that I want to answer. My question today, is it possible that the all-in footage was on AEW? What there was on AEW wasn't just about Punk, but also returning Jack Perry? Spoilers ahead for you, Steve. We are talking Jack Perry, and that does indeed cover the AEW footage as well. We also had a question from Spider-Bus saying, do you think the WWE will put the title on Liv? I do not want to share any spoilers on that one. Also, I don't know for certain. Though I did see people who seem to think Alexa Bliss will be back on Monday, which is interesting. Didn't see that particular question coming. It's very confusing. Spider-Boss. Also, Meltzer apparently confirmed my report. Lovely. Always nice to see Meltzer reminding people that I do good work as well. We currently have 65 people watching. I'm letting people flood in 2 minutes. We will be launching into our top story, but I'm letting the room fill up. If you can, please do remember, hit that like button as you join. We have 28 at the moment. 2 more gets us straight in to 30 likes, which is a great place to be with only 4 minutes on the clock. So with 64 people here, let's keep that going, because we're about to go into the news. We're about to dive into Vince McMahon's involvement with this year's WrestleMania main event, and I want to boost those likes up, get people in here, keep that chat rate going, say hi to each other, say hi to me, say hi to everybody, say hi to the wall. It's weird, I don't want to talk about it, I'm moving for a reason, but be sure to keep this energy going, because I want to know your real, genuine, immediate reactions to what I'm about to say, because my word, there is a lot to share on this one. Vince McMahon had more involvement in the WrestleMania 40 main event than you might think, and there's a number of different times and different ways that he's been directly involved. I'm going to start with WrestleMania 39, where Vince McMahon was the one who stepped in and said to Triple H, I know you want Cody to win, I know your plan is for Cody to win, I don't care, Roman's going to retain. At this point in time, there was no plan for The Rock to return. It wasn't until January this year that The Rock did return, of course, and he was immediately lined up against Roman Reigns, which was the original plan, which was actually a deviation from Cody versus Roman 2, which was originally pitched by Vince McMahon. Now, during the time, Triple H was trying to get it to Cody Rhodes versus Roman, and Cody would be the leader of the Triple H era. But unfortunately, with Vince McMahon back and vetoing things on scripts, Triple H had to work smarter rather than harder. In order for people like Gunther and LA Knight to be pushed, as well as Damage Control to be in a strong position, Vince McMahon had to be catered to at least a little bit. Triple H essentially having to bend over as required for Vince McMahon. Not something I really want to picture, and I'm sorry for putting it in all of your heads. Now, when it comes to the Bloodline story, and in fact the main events of both this year's and last year's WrestleMania, Vince McMahon was heavily involved in everything Bloodline related. He planned out the entire storyline involving Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn well in advance, as well as what happened with Jey Uso. Jey Uso is a pet project of Vince McMahon, and his success is indelibly linked to Vince McMahon. Also, what we're seeing right now with Solo Sikoa becoming a new tribal chief and leading a faction of the Bloodline, also planned by Vince McMahon. We are still seeing Vince McMahon ideas playing out on our screens. In addition to this, The Rock is believed to have contacted Vince McMahon, or at least this is what I'm hearing, as regards advice when the main event of WrestleMania, which was going to be him versus Roman, was changed, which meant that small areas of the WrestleMania 40 main event were changed by Vince McMahon. The Rock was in discussions with Vince McMahon when he made his heel turn, and the tag team match that main evented night one is something that The Rock pitched after discussions with Vince McMahon. Now, the original outline for WrestleMania 40's main event, that being the Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns main event that we just saw with John Cena, with Seth Rollins, with The Undertaker, though originally with Stone Cold Steve Austin, was laid out almost a year ago, just after WrestleMania 39, by Vince McMahon. It was built on by Triple H, and then most recently the finer details were decided by The Rock, who was actively in discussions with Vince McMahon at the time. Now, I know we don't want to live in a world where Vince McMahon is still in everyday life involved, but I also think you have to point out that Ronda Rousey did state quite openly, as long as Bruce Pritchard is in the WWE, Vince McMahon will never be gone. And one of many names that Cody Rhodes thanked upon winning the championship was Bruce Pritchard. Vince McMahon's fingers were all in this pie, basically. And I say that knowing full well that The Rock makes jokes about pies. There's plenty more to come as regards Vince and Trump and a new Vince Wrestling Federation, but I promised you a story about Vince McMahon being involved in the WrestleMania 40 main event. I dare say I delivered. I want to say a huge hello to everyone who I haven't said hello to yet. Spider Boss, Robin, Dave, Joe, Mikey, Steve, Chris, good evening to you. Hello, Brad. Brad, I want to send you a special thank you, by the way. Literally, I'm watching my Twitter grow because of you. The amount of times I've seen you speaking to someone about me and then they followed me, you're doing amazing work on my behalf right now, and I want to say a massive thank you for it. Hello, Jess. Hello, Mustafa. Hello, Alid. How you doing, guys? Better press that like button. Jess says, Austin316 says you better press that like button. What? We are now on 38. 2 more guesses to 40. Thank you, Jess. Spider-Boss said the full Vince didn't have any say on WWE Creative anymore. I think I laid out exactly how that's not quite been to plan. One says, are the Warner Brothers and AEW negotiations not going good, even a surprise? More on that shortly. I do have news on that one. Razar says, how is WWE crowning the new women's champion? They didn't really give any details, or is it going to be a battle royal or something? They've not revealed that as of yet, and I've been unable to get any details as of yet. Eric, you're absolutely right about Shane McMahon. Dylan asked much the same about the new women's champion. Again, they have not given any details yet, and I've not been able to get any details. I've not been able to get any details I'm in a love and committed relationship. I get plenty. Michael, thank you very kindly. Renewing your Twitch subscription for a 38th month. You continue to be the yardstick by which we measure how long I've been doing this. We're not far off 50 months now. Another year and we've hit 50 months. I can't entirely believe that. Eric also says hi to the wall. Yeah, the stain's getting big, isn't it? They're working on this on Sunday. So the landlord is coming by on Sunday to sort this out. Fingers crossed it'll all get sorted. We'll see how it goes. I'm leaving anyway, just to be clear. But yeah, Eric, it's getting bigger. Hello, Mick. Hello, Leon. Manic mode, is that where we are, Mustafa? Zane says, Will Ospreay said on RJ City show, Will Ospreay is his real name. Yes, that is true. Did you not know that? Yeah. Jess says, oh my god, why can't Vince just chill and stay home? How is he this big age still wanting to do things? Fair. Noob says, hello, Mr. Colohue, how are you doing today? Doing well, thank you. Bear with. I got a hangnail. Hello, Daniel, happy Friday to you. Mick says, incredible story about Vince. Yeah, not in a good way. Not in a good way. We have 84 people here already. Please do remember to hit the like when you come in. We have 41 likes and we are still climbing. Leon says, Becky has revealed Seth has undergone knee surgery recently. I did report already that Seth is taking time off because of his knee. It did get aggravated during WrestleMania. His limping was real and it's why he wasn't recorded coming down to the ring. He's genuinely not okay. Billy says, we're not truly in the Paul Levesque era. We are in the Triple H era. I think there's still some bloodline involvement from Vince McMahon. Mikey says, Vince McMahon's hands have been in a lot of pies, as we know. Michael says, hi, Tom. Hello, Michael. Spiderboss says, Cody's lucky. WWE heard the Cody fan meltdown and gave them what they wanted. I wish WWE would listen to Mercedes fans after the 2022 Royal Rumble. I would say WWE listened, Triple H listened, and Triple H already wanted to change things. Zane, I like a chicken and mushroom. She said, did you say anything about Uncle Howdy news? Nope, I've already given every detail I can about the Uncle Howdy news on Monday, spoiler warning. Plenty more details there if you want more. King Azza says, Tom, I'd love to see The Rock or Roman win Money in the Bank. That would be cinema. No plans at this point, and I'm okay with that. Jess says, Triple H going out there screaming about how his era is so funny now. To be fair, everyone was doing it for him. Razar says, I believe Janelle Grant's lawyer said that The Rock and John Cena are still in contact with Vince, so I'm not surprised he still has some influence since Rock is on the board too. It was not Janelle Grant's lawyer that said that. It was, I believe, an NBC report. Janelle Grant's representation did respond to that. Chris says, Tom are excited about Bayley versus Naomi for the WWE Women's Championship tonight on SmackDown. Yep. I'm quite excited for it. It should be a fun match. JMG, who's PWS? Who's PWs? Could you give me more details, please? Because at the moment, that is not something I'm willing to countenance. Oh, I got to use the word countenance today. Go on. Dylan says, will Triple H be going to destroy every and all Vince McMahon ideas he has already laid out, or will he take his own spin on it? If that was true, he would have changed the main event to this year's WrestleMania. Spiderboss says, I think the Women's World Championship match should include some of Rhea's past opponents and Liv Morgan. So basically everyone, to be fair. Carmelina says, Tom, you are the best. Thank you, appreciate it. Steve says, do you like the new World Tag Team Championship designs? I think they're okay. I think tonight's Tag Team Championships might be a little better. Spiderboss says, with Vince still having input, it surprised me Becky lost clean. He had some input. Triple H is still in charge. Spiderboss says, WWE does copy-paste with the title designs. The World Tag Team titles are similar to the World Heavyweight title. Yes, they're branded. And Miss T says, hi Tom, do you think Bianca and Jay get drafted to separate brands despite challenging and possibly winning the tag titles, since the titles are eligible for both brands? I will have more details later on in the show about Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. I have a lot of headlines to get through today. Hector says, I've loved the Bloodline story so far, and honestly the fact that Vince has been involved the whole time doesn't change my opinion on the storyline, just makes it feel odd, if anything. Yeah, it's a great storyline, and all the Sami Zayn stuff in particular I really enjoyed, but you know. Juan says, I mean, Bloodline was Vince's idea, maybe he doesn't want Triple H to mess it up. Well, I don't think it goes that far. Triple H could change it anytime he wants. I should point that out. Thank you, Aled. I appreciate that heads up. We are not going to take that piece of news then. Spider-Boss says, I hope Bayley vs. Naomi doesn't end in DQ either because of Damage Control or Tiffany distracting Naomi. So, next piece of news. Next, I want to talk about the report that's going around about Donald Trump and Vince McMahon. Because it's true, and I can absolutely confirm it. Donald Trump, as we know, is trying to become United States president again, and is willing to say that if he doesn't become president, the entire system's rigged to try and get his way. Essentially, he's a baby kicking and screaming because his mommy won't buy him the new toy that costs $15,000, blah, blah, blah. Also, more importantly, he's got lengthy jail time ahead of him, so if he doesn't become president, he's well and truly effed. He's relying on becoming president to pardon himself, which is a power that he believes he has, which I believe, honestly, he probably does have. Presidential pardons do carry that weight. Vince McMahon has recently sold a hell of a lot of shares, which means Vince McMahon has quite a lot of money right now. Quite a lot of that money may well be going to Trump's legal fund in exchange for certain promises that if Vince McMahon needs a pardon, a presidential pardon would be going his way. I can confirm that this news is true. There is also reports and ideas being passed around that Vince McMahon may launch a new wrestling company. To my knowledge, that is not the intention at this point in time. He may buy a smaller wrestling company, believing that he can rebuild the WWE and overtake it. I believe that's very Vince McMahon. But if he has money and he wants Donald Trump's favours, Donald Trump will take all of his money. More likely to happen is that Freddie Prinze Jr. will be launching a wrestling promotion because he's actively doing so. He has stated that there will be similarities to Lucha Underground, which is a little bit tongue-in-cheek, more sports entertainment, and genuinely very entertaining. To my knowledge, while he's currently looking for backers, he doesn't have a roster right now, so I know the suggestion seems to be that, hey, it's going to happen soon. It's not. It's really not. Robin Dave says, I'm hoping Roman comes back as a babyface. Jon says, is the WWE going to figure it out, the vacant WWE Women's World Championship? Yes, eventually they will figure out what to do with the championship. Razar says, I thought the new tag titles looked like those fancy chocolates. Ouch. Chris says, Bayley versus Io Sky for the WWE Women's Championship at Backlash May 4th because Bayley is going to retain for WWE Women's tonight on SmackDown. Personally, I lean towards Dakota Kai. Spider-Boss says, being in a tag team with Bianca, it helps Jade to keep gaining confidence in the ring. Roger says, Nick Nemeth told Moose on last night's TNA is not like Dolph Ziggler anymore. He will win the TNA World Heavyweight title. Robin Dave says, how much longer do you think this bloodline story will last? I think there will always be a bloodline from here on out. Noob says, I'm looking forward to tonight's SmackDown. Hope we see new designs of the SmackDown tag team titles. Eric says, what side do you think The Rock will be on? Roman's side or Solo's? I think he'll be on Solo Sikoa's side because he is actively annoyed at Roman, and that is a fact. Corey, welcome to the show. Thank you very much for subscribing on the YouTube side. You'll get notifications whenever we go live. We have plenty of wrestling news right here that you can't find anywhere else. So if you are watching and you haven't subscribed yet, now is definitely the right time to do so. We are definitely growing. We have 5,864 subscribers and counting. Michael says, if Trump is convicted of a felony before November's election, I don't see how he can be on the ballot. Yeah, except here's the thing. The Republicans in party are trying to actively change the law to make sure that people can be on the ballot even if they're convicted of a crime. Billy says, what is Vince McMahon doing in the Impact Zone? Stranger things have happened. And Steve misses Lucha Underground. Alex says, Fightful reported Trick Williams is going to be a face of NXT post-draft. I thought he would have been called up. Still well could be. That could be a response to Dave Meltzer, which we'll talk about later. Spider-Boss says, the Trios division on AEW looks so dead in the water. I hope they do something with the Bullet Club Gold winning those titles. One says, the US already turned on Joe Biden, so who knows how the election will go. Yet when you're chasing the championship, or in this case the presidency, people are all behind you, but as soon as you're on top, people turn. Joey says, hey Tom, when do you expect to see Bo Dallas' new group debut? I shared all of those details and my expected timescale on Monday's show. Spider-Boss says, I'm looking for the Usos reunion. Keep an eye out, it might take a while. Alex says, I wonder who will be on Roman's side, seeing as Tama Tonga and Solo will be with The Rock. Again, I do see the Usos recombining, reuniting, and the Jey Uso experiment being abandoned, and then backing Roman in this one. Dylan says, I think if and when Roman Rock happens, there might be a stipulation saying if Rock loses, the bloodline has to disband, and if Roman loses, he is out of the family. There could be any combinations, to be fair. Noob says, if Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair win the WWE Women's Tag Titles, then we might see a major push for Kairi Sane. Nope. As for Asuka, she can do what any legend do, an open challenge every week on SmackDown. Nope. Neither of those things are going to happen. Told you before, mate. I know you're a massive Asuka fan. WWE aren't anymore. It's winding down. Sid says, will we see Vinnie Mac buy TNA? Stranger things have happened. I can't say anything with any certainty at this point, though, because it seems ridiculous, and yet. We currently have 84 people watching, 47 likes, 3 more. 3 more gets us to 50. 50 is halfway to 100, guys. It's an amazing number. It's a lovely round number. Bombard me. Make me feel it. Give me those thumbs. Throw them thumbs right up. Right up. Make it work. Spider-Boss says, at least on social media, fans are turning on Cody. Social media hates everyone. We all know this. Sai says, and I appreciate that you've done the research on this one, mate, to back what I was saying here. The current law in the US is that not only can Trump run for president from jail, he can serve as president from a cell. Really? Joey says, Fightful confirmed your report about WWE wrestlers working in Marigold. When it launches, SRS still won't credit you. Yeah, I know. I know. I've known this one for a very long time. The report came out that WWE had flown out Rossi Ogawa and Julia to meet with them over WrestleMania weekend. Do you remember when I tweeted that the WWE was holding meetings with TNA representatives and representatives of an as-yet unlaunched Japanese promotion? And yet, I had the guy from Wrestling Purists quote tweeting and just laughing at it. He was on Fightful today. Funny coincidence. King Azza says, I can't believe the fans are calling Cody a boring champion. It's been a couple of weeks, guys. One says the IWC are also wishing AEW to dead, and Meltzer confirmed your Drew McIntyre news. We all know how this goes, guys. You've all been here long enough to know the pattern that emerges. Speaking of, Stephanie McMahon returned at WrestleMania. She is involved now with talent relations, and after I reported this, you may have noticed a big change in talent relations overall. This was for many reasons, but one of them was to make room for Stephanie McMahon. Also, looking at the business end of a return, Shane McMahon is now cleared from the knee injury that he suffered WrestleManias ago. I believe it was 2 WrestleManias ago. Now that he's officially cleared, he can return to the company and wrestle if he so chooses. Triple H is not believed to be against the idea of involving Shane McMahon, particularly given that there would then be 2 McMahons back in the company. The only one who is not welcome to make a return would, of course, be Vince himself. It would, of course, be Vince himself. Robin Dave says, if Roman turns babyface, how do you feel about it? And will Roman be okay turning babyface? It's not up to Roman Reigns. What I will say is that near the end of his run, the fans had so much respect for him that I feel it would be like Charlotte Flair returning. As long as she's nowhere near a championship, as long as Roman's nowhere near a championship, fans will be cool for it. Alan says Cody's already held the title too long. Dylan says, please tell me Jay will still have a single run after the Usos and Roman unite to take down the Bloodline. Spider-Boss says, it got my attention to see Mercedes Money versus Willow storyline. I want to know who ambushed Mercedes a week ago. Good, they've got your attention. Joey says, is it true TK plans on making big offers to Seth, Becky and Drew if they hit free agency? Why wouldn't you? Like, this isn't even news. A wrestling promotion wants to sign the best wrestlers available. Where's the downside, man? Jess says, random, but do you think wrestling Twitter making fun of Def Rebel will make Triple H finally realise that their themes are crap? Triple H knows that their themes are crap. He knows. A lot of work needs doing. Taylor says, love Shane O'Mac, but is in no shape to get back in the ring. Sid asks, who's watching TNA Rebellion tomorrow night? Who is watching TNA Rebellion tomorrow night? If you're watching, let me know. Joey says, is Shane under contract or have some kind of clause that allows him to return? He is not under contract. There are discussions that could allow him to return. Ed says, can we channel the power of chat to bring Shane McMahon back for old time's sake, Tom? Stranger things have happened, and no. Because you're the problem here, Ed. You keep bringing Shane McMahon back into my life. Here we are again. Jess says Drew's last title reign was the best. Didn't go too long and only had banger matches. Spider-Boss says, does Roman have any say on the Bloodline storyline? Paul Heyman's the guy you talk to. Joey says, is that why Sheamus got his old theme back because of all the backlash against Def Rebel? No. He asked for it back. WWE still own it. And they were like, yeah, sure. Aled says, PWInsider said, former TNA wrestlers are returning at Rebellion. Do you know anything about that? Yeah. Spider-Man says, Def Rebel's theme songs are BS. Jim Johnson did great theme songs for the WWE. And Rizal says, the Def Rebel memes have been making me laugh so hard. Have you seen any? I have. They're okay. I'm not a meme guy. I'm not into the memes. I want to talk about WWE's international plans. A lot of these I've already discussed, so I'm just going to give a quick overview. The WWE, as Nick Khan has now confirmed, are planning to keep the big four PLEs in American soil, or at least in North American soil. That includes Canada. This essentially means that WrestleMania will always be an American institution. That's what they aim for when it comes to WrestleMania. This will also be true of elements like SummerSlam, and this is one of the reasons SummerSlam's been up and down all around the calendar at the moment. The WWE, however, when they go international, get paid millions upon millions of dollars. And you can see from the recent reports about how much money was made in the area from the Royal Rumble that it's worth it. The area of London in and around Wembley Stadium made an absolute fortune when AEW All In was in town. An absolute fortune. This is one of the reasons that the WWE are trying to convince the City of London to give them money to run Wembley. Now, at the moment, they're going outside of that area. They've, of course, been to Wales. They've been to England. They're going to Scotland next. I'm sure they'll pop up in Belfast at some point soon, depending on how big a stadium Belfast have to offer. I don't believe they've got that many particularly big ones. But when it comes to the international plans, the WWE believe that their strong ticket sales and the amount of sold-out shows they've had are largely because they are now so rarely in America. They believe that spending more time outside of the US is massively helping them grow and massively helping absence make the heart grow fonder. Bear with me a second. What this essentially comes down to is a money-making exercise for the WWE. But it does mean wherever you live, the WWE want to go there. And it makes it much more accessible and also makes it much harder to access from the United States. Which means when they go back home to the United States, suddenly everybody wants it. Cody Rhodes did this morning state that he wants the UK to have a WrestleMania. This is not likely to happen anytime soon. Cody Rhodes is towing the party line and basically saying to the UK, hey, if you want a WrestleMania, pony up, bitches, pony up. He's essentially driving up the price of bringing WWE to the UK. It is a huge boost to the economy, but not if all of that money that they're giving to the WWE is all that they make in the area. The rumours that WrestleMania may be moving to May is because WWE put out that they're open to moving WrestleMania if another country bids enough money. To put it simply, WrestleMania is real expensive. Dylan says, do you think Roman will keep his current theme or will he change it to a new one for his face run? Not sure. Really not sure. But this is synonymous with Roman now. Jan says, do you see Becky Lynch winning a championship this year? Not a top championship, maybe a tag team. Michael also says, according to Becky, Seth had knee surgery. As I did state at the time, the reason that they weren't showing Seth coming down to the ring is because he genuinely hurt his knee. It took him a long time to get down to the ring, and that's why Roman took him out immediately. He was expected to be a lot more involved, but Seth was seriously hurt. Sovic says, hello Tom, hope you're doing well. I want to know if there's any plans for WWE about Becky Lynch for the women's world title. There are plans for Becky Lynch. I don't think it involves the women's world title. They are simply too close to her contract running out to take that risk. KJ is here, says, what's up Tom and chat? Welcome KJ. Dominic says, hi Tom, do you think Gunter will be in the world title picture and miss your old music? I know mate, I know. Gunter will be in the world title picture. I don't necessarily think it'll be anytime soon. At the very earliest, it would be after SummerSlam. Shifty says, good evening, Tom. Good evening, Shifty. Steve said, did you just summon Shane McMahon? If you win King of the Ring, then we will know. You better be kidding. You better be kidding. It's not acceptable. I've said the name Shane McMahon so many times, and as we know, when I say Shane McMahon 3 times, my freaky psychic powers kick in, and there he is. The amount of times I've started talking and he's popped up behind my cupboard, it's not right, you'll need to stop. So it says, are you a fan of Booker T as NXT commentator? Not really. I don't really enjoy his commentary, that's just personal opinion. Spider-Boss says WWE would get more money if they host WrestleMania in the UK. Yes. But that doesn't mean they're going to. No, KJ. Seth did not get surgery after the initial injury. He held it off until after Mania. Razar says, I think Money in the Bank would be a good show for Wembley if they don't want the big four outside the US. And Jess says, I hope they come back to Australia for a PLE. I didn't make it to Perth for the Chamber because $1 million dues to fly from the East Coast to the West Coast. It's a big space as well, isn't it? Australia's not a small place. It is. Marcel says, I will watch it. I don't actually watch TNA weekly, but I do watch the pay-per-views they do. Joey says, do you think we'll see more progression of NXT EU when WWE goes to France and Germany? Yes. One of the reasons that they're going is also on a hiring spree. They want to bring in more people for those particular areas. NXT EU is one of the reasons for that. Shifty says, are we seeing new SmackDown titles tonight, and will they look the same if different? They will look the same and different, yes. They will be synced up with SmackDown and the overall presentation of SmackDown, but we will have some championships to very much enjoy. Brad, I am sharing and retweeting your quote tweet of the spoiler warning announcement tweet. I very much appreciate you for putting the word out there. These announcement tweets are continuing to grow when it comes to the numbers of views that they get, and it's really helping to get this channel up into the stratosphere. So thank you very kindly, Brad. If anyone would like to help this channel grow, one of the easiest ways to do so is indeed to go onto Twitter, find my announcement tweet, and quote tweet it. I will then retweet that and keep the energy going. Dylan says, if WWE ever have a pay-per-view in Ireland that isn't NXT, yes. If Ireland pay them. Spider-Boss says, nowadays fans complain about Roman's title reign. Those fans would have taken Triple H's reign of terror with a big gold belt. Yeah, they didn't like it. Yeah, they didn't like that either. Twitter makes things happen, man. Alan says, I don't know if WrestleVotes is reliable, but they said Gunter is returning on Raw Monday. They're pretty reliable. They tweet very rarely. Also, they get real aggressive at times. Noob says, your thoughts on WrestleMania taking place in May moving forwards? Wouldn't hate it. Would make very little difference to me. Roger is going to Wembley to watch the football. Alid got an ad. Thank you for letting me know, Alid. If you do get an ad, please do let me know. It really helps me know how many ads we're getting, because if we're getting a lot of them, I want to curtail that. I want to make sure you are having a good viewing experience. Taylor says, Tom, has WWE even thought to making performance centres in various countries? Yes, and in fact they already have a couple. Spider-Boss says, heel Drew McIntyre has been gold on the mic and on social media. Drew never misses for roasting people. Hector says, Tom, do you think Drew's contract situation has to do with Damien cashing in, or was that always the plan to your knowledge? Hector, I believe I said in October that the plan would be the cash-in at WrestleMania by Damian Priest. It was that way when the match wasn't even like that. It was likely going to be Seth versus Damian and would be an actual cash-in. There was a possibility of Seth versus Dominic Mysterio, I should say, being passed around at the time as well, before CM Punk returned, and then it became locked in. Damian would be cashing in. Pete, welcome mate, says, I feel that people are being harsh on Sheamus. His body shape shouldn't be an issue, just good to have him back. I still think he's got a great body shape. He certainly looks a hell of a lot better than I do, and a hell of a lot better than most of the people trying to roast him. Alad says, do you know what state is a favourite to get Mania 41? I don't. I've seen all the reports about it being Minnesota. It hasn't been announced yet. Shifty says, some random source on Twitter said, can you confirm? Spider-Boss says, do you think Cody will ever be separated from the bloodline? Yes, he already is. Joey says, when Gunter returns, are they going to run it back with Sammy or move Gunter up the card? I don't know at this point in time. I'm not sure. Carmelina says, do you think Jay will be moving to SmackDown? Or SmackDown will be moving to Jay? Zane says, I'm a fan of Sheamus. Too many limes theme music. I was on 2K24 in my rise career. And Shifty says, I remember you said a few weeks before Mania, the wrestlers will drink Prime during the show sometimes, and they did during Mania, so another correct report from you. I knew what the sponsorship was doing, and I know it's a little tiny thing, but other people put little tiny things behind paywalls, so I'm happy. Michael says, will SmackDown be moving days next year? I don't think so. A lot of details still have yet to be ironed out, but that's not the plan right now. Dylan says, when did WWE have UFC fighters and vice versa happen, if it ever happens? They popped up in the crowd so far. Bigger things will happen in the weeks to come. Wazar says, do you think the Bloodline moves to Raw during the draft? My draft predictions will be going live on Wednesday. Joey says, did you hear anything on the Creeds? Yes, more on that shortly. And Kristen says, do you think Bayley will stay on SmackDown? My draft predictions will be going live on Wednesday. Next piece of news then. Matt Hardy. There were theories when Matt Hardy started sharing Bray Wyatt and Bo Dallas teasers that Matt Hardy was going to be a part of the Bray Wyatt story. Matt Hardy has been in discussions with WWE, but essentially he is sweetening the pot and trying to convince them that he should be brought in. The WWE are open to meeting with him and are open to having a discussion about him working backstage. At this point in time, it's not believed that Triple H has any real plans to have Matt Hardy return to WWE in a major wrestling capacity. It may be in the final days of William Regal, when he was mostly backstage, but every now and then came out for a hometown pop and to lose to a new up-and-comer. Matt Hardy is not believed to be someone that the WWE have any intention of getting and pushing. Dave Meltzer. A lot of crap's going Dave Meltzer's way, and a lot of it's deserved. Over the last few days, Dave Meltzer has re-reported a lot of my news. He's also been caught out re-reporting other people's news. But of course, the other people in question are people that, the mass wrestling media cares about. So we're suddenly hearing about it, and it's a problem for them. I'm not worth looking out for in this manner, but hey, gotta protect Fightful, haven't you? Gotta protect Fightful. They're only this tiny little thing. Anyway. Dave Meltzer also recently went in on two of NXT's bigger names, Tatum Paxley, who's not a bigger name, but is now that Dave Meltzer's gone after her, and Trick Williams. NXT is a developmental area, and Dave Meltzer needs to calm the hell down. I don't believe Dave Meltzer's career covering wrestling is going to last much longer. People are starting to see what I've been pointing out for years. I may sound cynical there, and I am. I've had to take an enormous amount of shit from people like Dave Meltzer for reporting what I do and for not paywalling it. And then, how often have all of you seen what is reported here, then reported by Dave Meltzer, with no effort to credit me or in fact anyone involved? It upsets me. It annoys me. I try to stay calm and rise above it. But then when we have other wrestling journalists saying that I'm pretending that people are stealing from me, it's literally in front of everyone's eyes. I digress. Also, funnily enough, Christoph has made some enemies recently, hasn't he? You remember Christoph? He's watching right now and taking what I'm saying. Remember Christoph? He's going to have a few bad days in the near future. Spider-Boss says, who do you see taking the US title from Logan Paul? Still LA Knight, to be honest, and I'd be fine with that. Leon says, you have a great track record thus far when it comes to Damian Priest news. You said he would win the Money in the Bank months before he was in the match. You said he would cash in at Mania, and you were right both times. Judgment Day, Damage Control. Two areas where I've been really good and had a lot of news. Also true, Mercedes money. Thank you, Shifty, appreciate you. McGuire said, did you see that content creator that said he hopes Liv Morgan... I'm not going to go into more detail. Yes, I did see it. I didn't want to platform it. Guy's an idiot. Guy does not deserve to be part of anything. I believe afterwards he said he was just being a heel, otherwise known as code for I'm an incel dickhead. Jess says, Meltzer used to just make me laugh, but at this point he's annoying me a lot. Dylan says, take a breather. Alan says, are you excited for AJ Styles versus Cody Rhodes at Backlash? Yes, I am. Jess says, going in on Pax and Trick, who've been wrestling for 2 to 3 years each, is crazy. Taylor, I'm not in any way going to read that out. No way. Do you remember when Dave Meltzer got in trouble for basically trying to tell us about leukemia when he hasn't got leukemia and Roman Reigns has? I am not going any further on that one. Spider-Boss says Dave Meltzer misses more than Man United's forwards, just saying. And Shifty says, I had a weird feeling Dave takes reports. I can't sit here and say that that's true. What I will say is that he tends to confirm every piece of news that's broken in the last week, doesn't he? He suddenly is able to confirm all of it. Joey says, would Matt Hardy wrestle in this new faction or just be involved with the creative? I've shared all the details that I have right then and there. Brad says, as regards my reports popping up elsewhere, often, very often. Billy says, Undertaker taking a shot at Meltzer a few months ago was hilarious. And Spider-Boss says, since I muted the words Dave Meltzer and SRS, it's worked wonders for me. Genuinely, since I blocked Dave Meltzer and blocked Sean Ross Sapp, there is so much less crap, bullying and garbage on my timeline. You don't just remove them with it, you remove their fan club. And it's just so much easier to live. One says Meltzer's still using hit pieces to say Mercedes money in AEW is a flight risk. Like, why? Noom says, who's going to be the first ever NXT Women's North American Champion, Julia or Lola Vice? I don't believe either of them. Jess says, remember when Mel said one of the Iconics looked a little heavy after getting implants? What a dickhead. He does seem to have a few problems when it comes to talking about women. Allied, I've met Joe Henry. Good guy, I believe. Oh, there's a Dave Meltzer fan here. Oh, Maria, is it worth it? Is this a hill worth dying on? Because you will. He will take people down with him. Just want to throw it out there. If this is a hill you feel is worth dying on, let me know. Because then I'll know everything I need to know about you. Joey says, have you heard anything on Drew Gulak? It doesn't seem like he'll be back. It does not indeed. I believe Fightful had the first report on this one, which Dave Meltzer then confirmed almost exactly word for word. Hilarious. Drew Gulak is not believed to be likely to be back. It's gone very Brock Lesnar, is what I've been told. Dylan says, I guess CM Punk is right about Dave Meltzer. Michael says, I muted Meltzer and Dave Meltzer and it still pops up on my timeline. Yeah, the For You page is not doing wonders when it comes to getting rid of people. Alan said, is Brian Alvarez as bad as Dave Meltzer, seeing as they work together? They're different. I'll just say they're different. We're going to talk AEW for a moment, starting with the Warner Bros. Discovery negotiations, which are not going well. Tony Khan has been very vocal about the fact that he expects to see a $1 billion plus TV deal with Warner Bros. Discovery. However, that is not likely. Forbes have recently come out and valued AEW at $2 billion, which is simply inaccurate and not even close to what we're actually looking at. So, to be clear, Warner Bros. Discovery at current are not looking to spend a lot of money. They're not looking to expand their portfolio, and they're not particularly interested in giving more money to Tony Khan for a product that now gets less viewers than it did when it first started. Things are not going well when it comes to Warner Bros. Discovery negotiating with AEW. The negotiations are active. Tony Khan has been essentially told maybe you should take what you get, and with this in mind, he's looking at other cost-cutting measures like the recent releases that he undertook. Also worth mentioning is Jack Perry. Jack Perry has indeed, I can confirm Dave Meltzer's original report, he has indeed wrapped up now with New Japan. As I did mention at Sakura Genesis, which was when we were wrapping up with Jack Perry, when it comes to Jack Perry, he's a time bomb. Essentially, they're letting him go to New Japan where he's suspended, building him up, building him up, building him up, ready to return. Jack Perry versus Kazuchika Okada has been mentioned, but it's also even more likely now that Jack Perry joins the Young Bucks and Kazuchika Okada to work against teams like FTR. Jack Perry is someone that they're going to push hard in AEW. This suspension has been a very successful one, and the name Jack Perry is a name on everyone's lips. Honestly, I think it's a great move. Merkwawa says, I feel like Dave Meltzer is super biased on the AEW matches. He rates them high, and it gives AEW talent somewhat validation to say where the best wrestle. Maria says, right, okay, so it's the same troll. Do you remember that troll who keeps coming in and saying, what's the source when I'm right here? New name, is it? There's a reason I'm not saying the second part of your name, and you know why. Everyone say hi to the troll. You know what comes next. Sid says, I think Tia Hale will be the first North American champion. Hope it happens. I'm a fan of Tia Hale. I also lean that way, though JC Jane also makes sense. Dylan says, other than money, why would Tony Khan ever want a partnership with Warner Brothers? No, it's just money. Jess says, maybe I'm just dumb, but I feel like Perry's gimmick being guy who hates CM Punk is a bad idea. This is why they're trying to make it the scapegoat. When he returns, he'll be guy who hates Tony Khan. Spider-Boss says, it wouldn't surprise me if the Bucks win the tag team titles at Dynasty this Sunday. Juan says, so TK is doing budget cuts to get a little more from Warner Brothers. And then says, bye, troll. Brad says, hi, troll. And also, bye, troll. Everyone say bye to the troll. Everyone say bye to the troll. The pointless little troll. Your life is so important. You literally come here and spend it being a little bitch. Sid says, will Jack Perry ever go back to being Jungle Boy? Nope. Why would you go backwards? Couple more things to touch on before we wrap up. Firstly, Chad Gable and the Creed brothers is a go. I did not see this heel turn coming. I genuinely didn't. So it was great to see on Monday Night Raw when he just lost his goddamn mind. Absolutely great fun. Really quite enjoyed it. Chad Gable and the Creed brothers is a go. Otis and Akira Tozawa may have to fall by the wayside here, but they've already started to break away from Alpha Academy. Alpha Academy's last ride was this run with Sami Zayn, so do not expect too much Alpha Academy in the days to come. Instead, the Alpha Academy new version will be the one involving the Creed brothers as heels. Otis versus Chad Gable, also been mentioned, could be fun. Joey says they're pairing Jack Perry with the Bucks because of the CM Punk stuff. I've already detailed my report on Jack Perry. Just sit back 2 minutes, you'll see everything I have to share. Sheamus recently returned to the WWE. As he has himself said, his intention was to come back with the draft, but Triple H asked him to come back a little earlier and start building up to essentially wrestle a few matches, get an early pop, and then come back to action. When it comes to Sheamus, they're going to take it easy with him. There are no intentions right now to have him in any particularly major storylines. He will not be at the pay-per-view upcoming. His big story will kick off with the draft, and it'll just basically be where he is. They're not pushing him hard. They will wait until he feels comfortable in the ring again, because he's not fully fit, even though he has been cleared. Gunther is also going to be returning. This originally came from WrestleVotes, and I can confirm Gunther will be returning. He's had a little break, and in those 2 weeks he had a chance to go home. As I did mention previously, Gunther would be on the international tour, and he already has been wrestling on the live shows. So this was originally reported by myself that Gunther would be returning to the WWE when the WWE went to the UK, which is the same time that Becky Lynch went to the returned to the WWE when they went to the UK to meet her. This is becoming pretty standard practice for anyone who lives in Europe. Those 2 weeks between WrestleMania and travelling to Europe are considered to be a very valuable thing, and it means they can give people breaks as they need it. It's a good thing, and I applaud them for it. KJ says, how does budget cuts help with TV deal? They didn't cut much of anything with the recent cuts. They didn't announce any cuts, and only so many cuts leaked. Okay? That's the big thing. Also, when it comes to the TV deal, what I'm saying is if they get a new TV deal that does not give them the money to have all of the staff that they currently have, they have to start cutting people. It's not a case of cut people, then we'll give you a deal. That's not what I said. What I said was, if the deal is not the amount of money that Tony Khan is looking for, then his show continues to be unsustainable and he has to make some cuts. Clyde said, just hit the like button, writing my next independent film script and enjoy spoiler warning anticipation for SmackDown. Happy to hear it, Clyde. Good news. Spider-Boss said, I think being friends of CM Punk can backfire at FTR, which is true, but largely they've managed to distance themselves by being friends of Edge instead. KJ says, if Sheamus re-signed, it'll just add the 8 months onto his contract that he just missed. It's the latter. Joey says, is Sheamus feuding a Pete Dunne a possibility post-draft? It's a possibility, but he's very separate from the old Fight Night. Aled says, who do you see walking out of Dynasty World Champion Samoa Joe or Swerve Strickland? Samoa Joe. I think Samoa Joe versus Will Ospreay is where we're headed for August. Spider-Boss says, I think it's so hypocritical from fans to praise Roman now that Roman's lost the undisputed title. Fans complained about Roman for years. Yeah, but they also showed a lot of respect for him, so it was a bit back and forth, Jess says, AEW has so many random people under contract, like is Paige Van Zandt still getting paid? Why did they sign her? It's not unfair. Dylan says if Roman is out until August, how exactly are they going to make the Bloodline story interesting until he returns? Jimmy's apparently out of an injury and Jay's on Raw. Essentially, Solo, Sikoa and Tama Tonga need to establish themselves. What better way to do that than by maybe going after the tag titles? Joey says, do you see Alpha Academy getting drafted to NXT? I see some people being drafted to NXT. My draft predictions will be live on Wednesday. Shifty is indeed time for the Bianca news. My last piece of news today. Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair are being paired up as a tag team to essentially give confidence to Jade Cargill. Jade Cargill is someone that the WWE believe to be ready after her WrestleMania appearance, but she's not believed to be confident enough to lead a storyline on her own. Essentially, she's seen the amount of people posting crap on social media saying she can't wrestle. And she started to believe it, unfortunately. The WWE trying to build her confidence, so a tag team with Bianca Belair is a good shout, particularly given that Bianca Belair was supposed to be facing Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania, and that of course hasn't happened either. So there were no real plans for Bianca Belair at this point. A match with Kabuki Warriors is on the table, particularly given that they really want to make these tag team championships mean something again. And I do think Kairi Sane and Asuka versus Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, that certainly puts those tag team championships on the map. Spider-Boss says, I think AEW should pull the trigger and put the AEW title on Swerve. Sid says, I don't get why WWE are not interested in signing the Motor City Machine Guns. Who told you they weren't interested? Jess says, Bianca and Jade were both discovered by Mark Henry as well. We are going to wrap it up there, guys. We've had 58 likes, 270 views. We peaked at 96 people watching live. And while we did gain an extra 2 subscribers during the show, we've also lost 2. I'd imagine a few of the things I said annoyed some people. But we are where we are. And honestly, if we lose subscribers, all that means is they were never going to watch to begin with. So I'm very happy overall with the show. Very happy overall to have so many people here so consistently. And I'm very, very happy to have thoroughly enjoyed myself once again. We will be live again on Monday. And of course, we have WTF Wrestling coming this Sunday as well. Until then, I've been Tom Colohue. You've been fantastic. And I'll see you all very soon.